Hi, everyone. We're just starting in a couple of minutes. We can see that some of our performers are here. So just want to do a quick hello. Hi, Julie. Hi, Jay. Hi, Ananya. We also have Sunil uh, and
That's Anmol. Anmol
oh,
has been
hi,
here around.
Anmol. So Anmol is our first
Hi.
performer, and we are just literally waiting a couple of seconds more to go live.
How many viewers do we have now?
Um, Just a quick reminder that if you are not performing, if you could please keep your microphones on mute and your videos off, so the person who's performing has the main big screen. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for being here today for Jashn-e-Sangharsh, or the Festival of Resistance that hopes to bring voices of dissent through art and create solidarities across border. I'm Adrija, and I'm a postdoc research fellow at SOAS University of London and a part of South Asian Students Against Fascism UK. Um,
I'm Joe. I'm also a doctoral student at SOAS, and I'm also a part of South Asian Students Against Fascism. Thank you so much for coming. Adija, come into the screen more. This is the first time we're doing this, and we're super excited, but also very, 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 very nervous, but mostly excited nervous, right?
yes. So if there are any technical difficulties, please bear with us. We will try and do our best to get it resolved as soon as possible. But before we start, I know that you are all seeing the two of us on screen, but there's a huge group of people who worked really hard to make this possible. So a shout out to the whole team of SASAF, to our allies who helped us organize this, to every person who spread messages, to every person who gave us advice, contacts, who sent us solidarity. So thank you very much. This would not have been possible without you. And also to Smish Designs, who allowed us to use their artwork on our poster and without any payment. So thank you so much to all our allies and comrades who have helped us through this process. And we really hope that you enjoy this afternoon as much as we enjoyed putting this together. So a lot of heart and soul has gone into putting this together, and we really hope that you enjoy it. So if you have already been on the Keto link, amazing, so you know what we are doing. If not, please go visit, donate, and spread the word. This is really important because we are raising funds for migrant workers, sex workers, and cyclone survivors in India. Many of you know what is happening in India. For all those of you who don't know, the COVID pandemic in India came at a time of rising dissent against the current nationalist right-wing authoritarian government. In January, Delhi saw the worst sectarian violence in decades, state-sponsored against the country's Muslim minorities. This came in the wake of widespread protests led by women. We all have heard of the women of Shaheen Bagh, gendered minorities, and students against the amendments to the citizenship law in the form of CAA and NRC, which threatened the country's secular constitutional fabric. The Indian government announced stringent lockdown measures to tackle COVID-19, but it was done with 4 hours of notice in a country like India. The lockdown measure triggered a major humanitarian crisis. Millions of the country's poorest citizens rendered homeless and starving, trapped thousands of kilometers away from their homes. Left with no means to survive, no support, they were forced to undertake long journeys by foot to return to their villages or to their hometowns, with many dying of starvation and exhaustion on the way. Some walked as long as 1,000 kilometers. Can you imagine how long that is? In what was India's hottest month, May. Many of us have seen those stories, those videos, and they are heart-wrenching. When the government eventually organized trains to take them back to their homes, they went days without food, water. Trains were delayed and often ended up in the wrong destinations. In the last count that we saw, about 80 people had died just in those train journeys. At the same time, when all of this was happening around India, Cyclone Amphan hit the east coast of India, wreaking widespread devastation. In Sundarbans, a vital ecosystem, which is a mangrove forest in the southern part of Bengal, thousands of people lost everything in a community that is already severely impoverished. Some migrant workers who had barely managed to get home realized when they reached home that they had no homes to come back to because the cyclone had taken it all with it. While India faces unprecedented tragedies in the form of COVID, a massive food crisis, looming agrarian crisis, natural disasters like cyclone, flood, earthquake, locust attacks, and forest fires, the Narendra Modi-led BJP government at the center made it their priority to arrest and jail activists from resistance movements using the draconian anti-terror law, which was the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, UAPA. For some of you who don't know, this was a colonial era law which the British government used to arrest and punish dissenters. And the current government is using it now to stifle every voice of resistance in the country. And the government has also used these troubled times to drum up hate and tensions against some of the most marginalized communities in the country. In this time of complete failure of governance and state support, mutual aid takes the form of civil society actors and collectives on ground who are providing meals, basic medical aid, and other support to these communities. They are rebuilding home, they're starting communal kitchens. Through these fundraisers, we are aiming to move away from the idea of charity and move towards collective action and collective solidarity that is intersectional and cross-border. So our work with these organizations that we are raising funds for today does not end today. It does not end with the fundraiser. We have been speaking to many of our organizations that we are raising, to all our organizations that we are raising funds for, and some of whom you will hear from very shortly during this fundraiser, in order to build long-term relations and in this process of countering the politics of hate. And also, a core principle that SASA, for South Asian Students Against Fascism UK, is built on is the idea of cross-border internationalist solidarity. And there are so many regions across the world who are going through similar crises. And the only way we can fight this is if we can globally all come together and globally imagine a new world together. So as an act of solidarity and to stand with across the border, we want to give a little bit of what we raise to in Chile, who are facing similar state repression, arrests of activists, food shortages, and of course, to the Black Lives Matter or BLM activists who are fighting for justice on the streets across the world as we speak today. Only together we can dream of a new system, and only together we can start building it. So please don't forget to donate. And also, please get in touch with us if you would like to get involved. Our email address is SA against fascism UK. So SA against fascism UK at gmail.com. We will keep posting our email address and our social media handles during this fundraiser as well. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter under the handle SASAF, which is SASAF.UK. And if you choose to tweet, post on social media, please don't forget to tag us so we can send some of these posts and messages of solidarity to our allies working on ground. And also, if you do share and talk about today's event, our hashtag for the event is hashtag Festival of Resistance. So hashtag Festival of Resistance. We will share the hashtag with you as well during this call. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Joe.
So just a reminder for you that we will be raising funds for 4 organizations that have been actively involved on ground back in India. And we are standing in solidarity with all those communities most directly affected by the COVID lockdown and the Amphan cyclone. We really look forward to your contributions, and our current goal is £2,000. But we do hope to go over this so that we can offer a lot more funds to these organizations and support their incredible efforts. So without further ado, I would like to invite Anmol, our first performer. Anmol is a doctor working on urban ecologies of animals in cities. They have been involved with resistances against the normative, mostly gender, sexuality, and caste. They will be singing a Kashmiri poem, Ha Gulo. I hope I've pronounced that right, which means Oh Flower. It is a song of love and longing for people who we lose in the course of our lifetimes, a lover, a child, a parent. They would like to present this in the context of the occupation of Kashmir and the number of lives that have been lost, while reflecting on the longings and resistances of people who have not been able to live in Kashmir because of these circumstances. So thank you for coming here, Anmol. I will leave this to you.
Hi, thank you. Thank you to SASF for having me here today, and to Joe.
Anmol, you have to unmute yourself.
I think I have unmuted myself. Am I not audible? Am I not audible?
Anmol, we can't hear you. Are you unmuted?
I am unmuted. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Oh, we can't hear them.
I think I am unmuted.
Anmol, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, brilliant. Okay.
We'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. My opening thanks goes to Sasa for hosting me here today. Thank you for having me. I mean, the the point of being here is to kind of initiate this conversation where uh, uh, the larger Indian community, or people who call themselves Indians, need to understand what is happening in Kashmir. I myself have not lived in Kashmir, but my family hails from there, and I have a lot of friends living in very, very difficult circumstances in Kashmir. So the idea is to say that we need to build solidarities, but we also need to kind of look at where we are complicit in these kinds of oppressions, in these kinds of, you know, this entire environment of hostility towards particular communities. So today I'll be singing a poem which, as Joe rightly said, is called Ha Gulo, which means Oh Flower. It is a poem that was written by a Kashmiri 19th century Kashmiri poet called Pirzada Ghulam Ahmad, who is also popularly known as Mahjur. I'll be singing just two, couplets. Those are my favorite couplets. And yeah, and I urge everybody who's watching this to contribute to the funds as much as they can, and share this, and to more solidarities. Yeah, so I'll start. Ha gulo tui ma savuchuvo yar myon. हागुलो तोई मा सवुचुवोन यार म्योन बुलबुलो तोई छरतोन गुलजार म्योन बुलबुलो तोई छरतोन दिलदार म्योन हागुलो तोय मासवुचुवोन यार म्योन विंदिवान पोषण पृथान्यम बरजलन विंदिवान पोषण पृथान्यम बरजलन आव मातोय कुंजो दुगार म्योन आव मातोय कुंजो दुगार म्योन हागुलो तोय मासवुचुवोन यार म्योन बुलबुलो तोय छरतोन दिलदार म्योन उरोश प्यठित पोश बागुक हित करेत रोश प्यठित पोश बागुक हित करेत चानियन फल दिलबरो गुलजार म्योन चानियन फले दिलबरो गुलजार म्योन हागुलो तोय मासवुचुवोन यार म्योन हागुलो तोय मासवुचुवोन यार म्योन बुलबुलो तोय छरतोन दिलदार म्योन विंदिवान पोषण पृथान्यम बरजलन विंदवान पोषण पृथान्यम बरजलन आव मातोय कुंजो दुगार म्योन हागुलो तोय मासवुचुवोन यार म्योन योश प्यठित पोष बागुक हित करेत रोष प्यठित होश बागुक हित करेत चानियन फले दिलबरो गुलजार म्योन हागुलो तोय मासवुचुवोन यार म्योन हागुलो तोय मासवुचुवोन यार म्योन हागुलो तोय मासवुचुवोन यार म्योन. Yeah, so thank you so much. That will be it. Uh, just to kind of slightly summarize what the poem says, uh, it's about a lover who's looking for the lover, and they're asking the flowers, they're asking the garden if they might have seen where they went. Did they come their way? Could they help them in finding their lover? Uh, which kind of is, in a very metaphorical sense, about people that have been lost in the past many years of, at least ever since India got independent, 70 years of resistance that the people of Kashmir have been showing. Uh, People have disappeared, people have never been, people's corpses have never been returned. Some people have been displaced at multiple points during the history, and I think this song is reflective of um, that garden, that Gulzar being Kashmir itself, and in some sense, every Kashmiri is that flower who's looking for somebody else, or who's looking for something in this kind of a crisis that has been going on. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anmol. That was absolutely beautiful. I'm so glad we could hear that. And I just want to say thank you to Keto India for waiving off the fees for this and just being there throughout with support and everything else that we've needed. So again, a reminder for all of you to please donate if you are able to. And
Thank you,
Yes, thank you
Anmol.
so much.
It was beautiful. I got goosebumps. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we would really like to hear from some of, throughout the process of this fundraiser, we're going to hear from the organizations that we are working with. And I would like to invite Sunil from the Migrant Solidarity Network, which is a network of trade unionists, students, activists, and workers that responded during the lockdown by reaching out directly over 40,000 stranded workers. And I will hand over to Sunil now to tell us about the amazing work that they are doing.
Thank you, Sasif, UK, and all the artists performing this evening for doing this. In struggle for a better world. I'll just briefly tell us about tell about us as well as the work we do. We as Adrija was telling, we have a group of students, researchers, activists who are involved in various kinds of activism before. But after the beginning of the lockdown, some of us came together and formed this migrant worker solidarity network with the crisis that migrant workers in this particular country. We started out as a helpline. We circulated a poster with numbers, set of 15 numbers in multiple languages. And through the course of the past 3 months, we were able to reach out to about 45,000 workers through a variety of means. Many places we work with our teams, as well as in some places we also were coordinating with other on-ground relief efforts. And also through the course of the lockdown, we began to realize that we need to do more political campaigns, not just restrict ourselves to providing relief. The relief is a major part of what we have done and what we continue to do. We have taken out several campaigns surrounding issues of migrant workers at various points during the lockdown for the state support of food, shelter, and wages, as well as the right to return home for them. On a long term, we also think of doing campaigns surrounding a demand for comprehensive legal framework for migrant workers, which covers both workplace as citizens. One more project that we've undertaken, which I would like to talk about, is the Migrant Workers Resistance Map, which kind of documents all the protests that have taken place involving migrant workers over the past 3 months. It's there on our website in a map form. The idea behind this particular map is to show, as Adrija was telling before, we need to move beyond charity. There have been hundreds of protests by migrant workers through the course of the lockdown, demanding their rights, demanding food, shelter, wages, as well as the right to return home, which they are entitled to, which the government denied through the lockdown. In the name of fighting a disease, the government has unleashed a war on the toiling people of this country. And in the garb of the lockdown, they are pushing many labor law changes, which would have effect for many years to come. So we felt there was a need to counter that narrative. Overall, we've taken several campaigns, as I was saying, one involving more recently the domestic workers on the International Domestic Workers Day. Campaigning for their rights, etc. And we hope to take this forward by the crisis of the migrant workers is not something which came during the lockdown. They have been suffering through a variety of means even before the lockdown. I mean, the crisis just became visible to the mainstream society. So we feel that apart from the relief activity that we are undertaking, which has an immense value, considering the steadfast refusal of the government to take out any relief measures. I mean, I guess the Modi government is the only major government across the world which stubbornly refused to do any cash transfer during the lockdown, during the COVID crisis, as well as I think I have a bit of a time, only small bit of time, but yeah, I'll just wrap it up. So on a long term, we wish to take forward this campaign and build larger solidarity surrounding issues of migrant workers. And we hope for much more support and solidarities from everyone. Yeah, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Sunil, and we look forward to working with you and your collective in the future. We've already set up, we've already in discussion about having a call after this event so we can talk about how we can build these solidarities and continue doing the work that we're doing. So thank you so much for all your work.
And now for our first curated performer of the day, Jay. Jay Anand is based in New Delhi, India, and is an acoustic guitarist, singer, songwriter, and educator. He has performed extensively as a solo artist in India and California. Hi, Jay. And he likes to talk about human relationships and vulnerabilities through his music. So I'll just let Jay take over.
Hello, can you hear me? I'll check that first. Thumbs up? Yes, perfect. Firstly, thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for coordinating all the time zones. I get a little confused at times, too many time zones to deal with. But as Joe mentioned, I'm a singer songwriter, and I don't have much to say politically, to be very honest, though I strongly feel for the cause. But I think, especially in these times, it gets harder to see the bright side. Even when I go on social media, it's too much for me to handle, to actually go through each and every post, because there's so much trauma everywhere. And this is my solace. I just pick up my guitar and try to find something good in life, and not think about the bad things, but just keep doing my bit to help. And they're doing an amazing job to actually collect funds to help the people out, because in a time like this, the only way we can survive is if we help each other out. So I will start with one of my songs, which is an original called Come Home. We have lost a lot of people lately, and loss is something unbearable, and we cannot accept it all the time. So this is a song which speaks about that, and I would start with that. Come home, I miss you. Please come home. Come home, I need you. Please come home. The empty bed, the silent words, the lonely nights, things untold, mistakes are made over and over again. Hurt feelings and a broken heart. I wish I had never said that I love you. come home. I miss you. Please come home. Come home. I need you. Please come home. Come home. I miss you. Please come home. Come home. I need you. Please come home. Come home. I love you. Please come home. So yes, that was Come Home. I had written it about 6-7 years ago, but I only got to releasing it last year. It's actually almost been a year. I released it on 27th of July, so one more month to go. The next song, it's called Fool to Want You. This was kind of my coming out song to my mother, but it happened that it accidentally coincided with the preponement of the verdict on decriminalization of Section 377 in India. It wasn't planned, but it just worked out in a way that we ended up releasing the song a week after decriminalization, so it aligned perfectly. But here's the song. It's called Fool to Want You. Am I a fool to want you? You make me go head over heels. Am I a fool to want you? You give me the feels. There's something like magic when you walk right up to me and breathe in so close. Something like magic every time you watch me looking at you, and you stay there reading me. Oh, am I a fool to want you? You make me go head over heels. Am I a fool to want you? You give me the feels. Am I a fool to want you? You make me go head over heels. Am I a fool to want you? Fool to want you? You give me them feels. You ruin my hair and then fix them like you ruin me when you're away from me but close to somebody else. You ruin my hair and then fix them like you fixed my heart when you smile or talk. Oh, just be there. Take me under your water, choke me with your love, raise me up to your mountains while you shine like the rising sun. Am I a fool to want you? You make So that was that. Do I have another time for another song, or shall I wrap up? I don't
Hey
know.
Jay, I'm sorry, like we'll have to wrap up because time is behind.
Yes.
But thank you so much for doing that.
Though we would love to hear another song and not let you go.
Yeah, it was super
We're like
soulful.
we're fighting against time,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
and
But,
fashion.
but thank you so much. It was beautiful.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. And people, everyone watching this, please donate. They are doing an amazing thing to put this together. So help them out.
Thank you very much. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so next, before we move on to more beautiful music, we are going to hear from another one of our organizations who are doing some really good work on ground. And so I would like to welcome Quarantine Students Youth Network. And they are a student-led initiative based in West Bengal. And they were formed to show solidarity and provide food and ration to people impacted by COVID lockdown and the Amphan cyclone. So I would like to invite Debojit from the Quarantine Student Youth Network. Debojit, are you there?
Yeah, hello.
Perfect. Can you switch on your video so we can see you?
Yeah, it says you cannot start your video because the host has disabled it.
Oh my god.
Oh no. Okay.
Okay. I think it should be fine.
Should be fine now?
Yes. Yes, the host has asked me to start my video. Yeah.
Sorry.
No issues, no issues. Hello?
It's finally good to put a face to the person that I was talking to for so long.
Hi.
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 Okay, we'll leave
Na-
this to you. All right. Bye.
Great. No issues. Bye. The Quarantine Student Youth Network came together following not only the lockdown, but actually before the name Quarantine Student Youth Network stuck to us, a group of students, mostly from universities and institutes from Bengal, we have been working on various issues. And we were one of the very few teams from Bengal who had actually gone to Delhi following the Delhi program and tried to reach out to the families affected near Northeast Delhi. And once the lockdown was declared, the team had come back to Kolkata. I was in Delhi, and once most of the team was back in Bengal, there was a sense that something unprecedented is going to happen, and slowly we started creating this network through distribution of ration to some of the more affected areas where people are mostly from lower income groups. However, we understood in Bengal that this was not going to be sustainable for a really long time, and by the time Amphan had made things worse, we were running a network of around 26 kitchens throughout Bengal, catering to more than 360 villages. And one moment. And in Delhi, I was exposed. I have not lived in Delhi earlier. I have been there for only 8 months. I'm there to write my thesis, PhD. I'm still doing my PhD. So I was exposed to the realities that the migrant workers were facing. And as I started working with migrant workers in South Delhi, I also understood the situation that this lockdown has brought upon people from all marginalized communities and demographics. So we are still working with migrant workers and sex workers, HIV positive patients, Rohingya refugees in Delhi. And we were able to reach out to around 9,000 such individuals with a little bit of ration, whatever we could manage. But most importantly, what we have been trying to do throughout our work before Amphan and after Amphan. For example, after Amphan, we have till date been running around 20 kitchens in south of Bengal in the affected area, 6 districts, and tried to provide, people with ration, with tarpaulin, with anything that they might need. Most importantly, we have taken up 2 projects. One is to reach out to school-going or college-going kids with solar lamps, and the second being desalinization of ponds. Because as we were getting more and more involved with the work of ration, etc., we were understanding that this is a huge sector which needs immediate attention, because once saline water has entered ponds or water bodies of smaller dimension, they make it unusable for day-to-day activities, and as they get destroyed, they become hot beds for disease and etc. So till now we have been able to desalinize around 300 ponds in areas in the 224 Parganas, and also tried to stand by school-going students with solar lamps, 600 of them. Now we are slowly moving into long-term work through regular medical camps, and also through help with educational infrastructure in areas which are actually off the radar. So that's it more or less from our side, and we hope to continue the work as long as it takes. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Debojit. I know that you're doing relief work on ground, so thank you for taking time out and coming and talking to us about this amazing work that you're doing. And hopefully we can continue to work together and show solidarity, and we'll obviously have more conversations about how we can keep doing that work together.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
From all of us here.
Bye.
See you soon.
Take
Bye.
care.
So we are now going to move on to our next performer, who's Julie Ward. And Julie is a British Labour cultural activist, poet, politician. And from July 2014 to January 2020, she is the member of the European Parliament and served in the Committee for Culture and Education as Vice President. She was also a member of the Committee of Women's Rights and Gender Equality. She's an active member of the Asia-Europe People's Forum and a strong defender of human rights, minorities, and indigenous people. She has also been involved with the 1 Million Rising campaign, organizing and standing against violence against women. Thank you so much for taking time out and being with us, Julie. We really, really appreciate it. And Julie's written a poem specifically for this occasion. So over to you, Julie. Julie, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Do I need to start my video?
Yes, please.
Okay. You need to let me start my video then. I think you have to do something.
Yes. Yeah, we are just giving you access now.
Okay.
Yes, you've been given access now, Julie.
Okay, right, there I am. Okay.
Hi, Julie.
Hi everybody. I know there's some really good friends on this call, and I've already been sending out WhatsApp messages and Twitter announcements, Facebook announcements to all the thousands of friends and contacts I have all around the world. And I need to tell you already that Kashmiri friends of mine working in human rights are really, really proud and pleased to see this event happening. But of course, it's much broader in its reach and in its message. So I just want to also say a really big hello and thank you to my friend Dan Barron-Cohen and all the amazing young people from Brazil that he works with, who I know are going to be dancing later. Yes, so I was a writer and a theatre maker before I went into politics. I like the kind of the challenge of writing for special events. So I've chosen to write something today in response to the COVID-19 coronavirus health pandemic, but also using that as a kind of metaphor, using the language of that to talk about what's happening in India today, but also in other countries where dictatorial leaders and fascists are using the pandemic as cover, really, to advance their cruel and despicable power grabs. Okay. The enemy is not an invisible body. The enemy sits in government in full view of the world. The enemy is protected whilst millions are vulnerable. The enemy is abuse of power and privilege. The enemy shakes hands with Trumpian devils, spreads droplets of hate with every breath, refuses to wear a safety mask, denies the science, could never sanitize enough to cleanse hands and heart stained with cruelty. The enemy is also complicity, apathy, doing nothing. The virus is not simply an infectious speck to be washed away with soap and water, but a drip feed of poison that has infected society from the top down, erupting into violence on the streets, in train stations, in markets, online. The pathogen is fear of the other, I instead of we, the disease of individualism fed by unfettered greed and unsustainable growth. The lockdown is beloved by the wealthy in their country estates, sipping fragrant tea from china cups, promoting the virtues of staying at home, because it's all right for them, dividends and interest accruing in offshore accounts. Meanwhile, the lockdown is feared by the poor and the cash-strapped, by the enslaved and the bonded, by the single mum in a high-rise flat, loathed by the young and the lonely, by the women locked into abusive relationships, loathed by the old and confused who do not understand why doors are closed, loathed by the young for stealing their playtime. The vaccine cannot come fast enough, but when it comes, it must be for all. Beware, Big Pharma, deals done behind closed doors, the madness of herd immunity. Remember, the rupee in your pocket is worth nothing compared to shares in drug companies. The pandemic is racism, is misogyny, is division, is fascism, is anti-human. The threat is ever present in a world where money talks and people are silenced. The enemy is not an invisible body, but it is also complicity, apathy, doing nothing. And this event is about doing something. And I suppose that's why, one of the reasons why I'm so pleased to be part of what you're doing. And if you'll just indulge me a little more time, I would like to read another poem that I wrote, which is very important for me because it's why I chose to go into politics. Many of you will remember in December 2012 when Jayoti Singh was gang raped on a bus in Delhi and died of her injuries 13 days later. And her death spurred me into action. I decided that I would no longer be a bystander, that I wouldn't sit on the sidelines, that I would always step into the space and be an activist whenever, wherever, whatever it required. And I wrote this poem for her. So it's called Gathering. We are gathering in parks and on street corners. We're gathering like flocks of birds. We're balancing on invisible wires strung between cities of the world. We're ready to take flight, to encircle the globe with song. We will make patterns in the sky, journey in V shapes. We tweet our coordinates, ruffle our feathers, and stretch our wings. We will not be ringed or clipped or otherwise caged or contained. We will not be sold for entertainment value or feather our nests in the unregulated markets of failure. We are gathering in the new dawn of a lost civilization. We are gathering at the end of days when everyone else has given up, gone home to bed. We are gathering in snatched moments with our babies on our backs. We are gathering, answering the call from afar, hearing the cries of those under the iron rod, beaten and torn and left for dead. We are gathering, we are singing, we are wearing red plumage. Thank you. Okay, that's me finished. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Julie. That was really touching. I did my PhD on the Nirbhaya case, so it is very close to what you were talking about. Was very close to working on, and what started my academic career as well. So thank you so much for sharing. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate you coming and spreading the word and being such an ally in this journey. So thank you so much. And we have, and we would love to continue this work together if we can.
For sure.
So
for sure. Thank you.
We would love to have a conversation in the near future to see how we can continue doing this work. So thank you so much.
Okay. Oh, I should just say how much I enjoyed the other performances, and I will stay online to listen. It's helpful in these difficult moments, I think. Yeah. Thank you.
It is. It is. Thank you.
Our next performer is Patruni Shastri. Patruni is an expressionist dancer, performance artist, and drag performer whose unique style called Indian Expressionism is a new way to tell stories of awareness to society with the framework of classical Indian dance. They perform animal drag, a drag style which deconstructs fashion and makeup, often using found objects, and elements of surrealism with the drag name Suffocated Art Specimen, or SAS. He is also the founder of Dragvati, an online space for the drag scene in India. Patruni, can you hear us? Are you here? Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm able to hear. I'm just trying to on the video.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm just going to mute ourselves and stop our video so that all the attention can be on you. Enjoy the performance, y'all.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Patruni, and I'm here to go and present something which I have been learning. So this is something which was been bothering me since the time the entire the pandemic situation happened, where the major effective of people who were majorly affected were the migrant laborers, and how the situation of them have been put into a certain way that we as a person who are sitting with privilege, it's really heartening for us to see putting them in that particular prison. So this particular piece of art is dedicated to them. This is actually talking about the situation where hundreds of labour workers were being crushed with because of a train, and that is the irony which I'm trying to take over here, calling that train as Byron, or the villain of the entire situation. Also telling about the anger of people who are on the families of these migrant laborers who are still awaiting the person to come back, and how exactly the situation, especially with them, how are they dealing with it. So this is a beautiful song which I'm trying to present. The song is something which have been sung by women of Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, where whenever their husband leave them and go to a different place to work. So I dedicate the song to them, and I believe that I would be able to put up my message about the situation, or the the issue which have been seeing, and I think this is something which I want to dedicate to them. So the song will start in this way. Delia Bayram, Delia Bayram, Pia Poliye Jahire, Delia Bayram, Pia Poliye Jahire, Delia Bayram, Delia Bayram, Delia Bayram, Pia Poliye Jahire, Delia Bayram, Pia Poliye Jahire, Delia Bayram, Delia Bayram. अरे जाने सहरवा के पिया मर जाई है अरे जाने सहरवा के पिया मर जाई है जाने सहरवा के पिया मर जाई है आगी लागे सहर जल जाए रे आगे लागे सहर जल जाए रे रेलिया बैरन अरे जोर टिकसवा से संयमोर जगह जोदे टिकसवा से संयमोर जगह पानी बरसे टिकट जल जाए रे पानी बरसे टिकट जल जाए रे रेलिया बैरन पिया खोलिए जाए रे रेलिया बैरन पिया खोलिए जाए रे रेलिया बैरन So this was the piece about the migrant workers which I was trying to present. The other part of the piece is again a song which majorly talks about how exactly the situation of the pandemic was being not considered, whereas the terminologies of fashion was still being prevailing. There were a lot of women who were being forced to work in Bangladesh uh, to upsell the market of fashion. So this is again something which I wanted to present in front of you all, and this goes in this way. Johnny Money got a fashion, high the fashion. Johnny Money got a fashion, high the fashion. Again, Marta ke gold dunya tak raat dunya tak raat Marta ke gold dunya tak raat dunya tak raat Johnny Money got fashion, high the fashion. आगे निकल जाके मर तक गोड़ दुनिया किसक जात दुनिया किसक जात देखते टेंशन मेरा तेरे एडिक्शन अरे मर्द बन के दिया बाती हाय रे दिया बाती मर्द बन के दिया बाती तो पीछे जात है मर्द के गोड़ कर दुनिया किसक जात दुनिया किसक जात दुनिया किसक जात दुनिया किसक जात Johnny went the fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Patri. That was amazing. I'll leave it to Adija to introduce our next performer. We'll just get to it because we're running short on time.
Thank you so much, Patruni. That was amazing. Next in line is a friend and a comrade. And I'm so happy to introduce Janani, a London-based musician, technologist, and activist. She has worked with Narga, RTI, the pension movements in India, and is associated with Artist Collective, including Yalgar, which is based in Bombay, Kahat Kabir, a volunteer-based collective in London. I have been to some of the Kahat Kabir sessions, and they are absolutely amazing. So if you haven't, please go check it out and follow Janani. Janani, are you there? I will hand over to you.
Hello, mic testing. Is it okay?
Yep, it's okay. Great.
All right. Thank you, Adrija. Thank you, South Asia Students Against Fascism. I had to jump into this and I had to be a part of this because, as I said, this is just so close to what I've been feeling and with regards to what's happening in India. So, yeah, the migrant crisis and then Amphan, and it seems like one after the other, something or the other is constantly happening, and we're just responding to things that are happening in India. So, yeah, I'm going to sing a very simple song. This is straight from Rajasthan, my alma mater, my with from the days with the MKSS. This is a song of solidarity that the rural women would sing, that we would sing with to each other, with each other, and I'm really going to miss all those collective voices here, but I'm at least glad to be singing it anyway. I guess this is the next best thing that I could do in the light of the lockdown and the fact that we're all alone. So I did think about whether I should sing this, but it's a collective song, and I'm still very happy to be presenting it to you all here. It's going to be in Marwadi, which is the dialect of the Western Indian state of Rajasthan, and it's a very simple song, as I said. I'll just quickly talk about what the song means for the benefit of those who are not very familiar with Marwadi. It says, Chet sako to chet, zamano ayo chetan ro. It's the time of an awakening. If you can awaken, arise, then, oh sisters, please rise. That's what the main call of the song is. The paragraphs are, एक दो तो पहली चेती कुछ नहीं फर्को आयो, दो चार का चेतवा सो कुछ झनकारो आयो, कावा की सब बहना चेती तो धरती पलटो खायो. When one or two women initially began to know or began to get enlightened, it didn't make too much of a difference, but things started to slowly, then the process began. When a few more women got involved, the process then expanded. But when the entire village, or when women of all the women in the village came together, then the earth somersaulted. That's what it means. The next lines are, Tabar tubar roti mange, dhando karno parsi. Tabar tubar is, my little children are asking for roti, they're asking for bread. I'll have to do some work. Prem ekta sabhi badhao, group banano parsi. Let's work with love, let's work together with solidarity, let's form groups, let's form collectives. Saheliya re saath mein saath nibano parsi. My dear friends, we'll have to give each other our hands. We'll have to extend our support to each other. Chet sako to chet zamano ayo chetan ro, presenting this. चेत सको तो चेत जमानो आयो चेतन रो, बहना चेत सके तो चेत जमानो आयो चेतन रो. चेतन रो जमानो चेतन रो, चेतन रो जमानो चेतन रो, बहना चेत सके तो चेत जमानो आयो चेतन रो. बहना बोल सको तो बोल जमानो आयो चेतन रो. एक दो तो पहली चेती कुछ नहीं फर्को आयो, एक दो तो पहली चेती कुछ नहीं फर्को आयो, दो चार का चेत वासो कुछ झणकारो आयो, दो चार का चेत वासो कुछ झणकारो आयो. गावा की सब बहना चेती, गावा की सब बहना चेती, धरती पलटो खायो, बहना चेत सके तो चेत जमानो आयो चेतन रो, बहना चेत सके तो चेत जमानो आयो चेतन रो. चेतन रो जमानो चेतन रो, बहना चेत सके तो चेत जमानो आयो चेतन बढ़ाओ ग्रुप बनानो पड़सी प्रेम एकता सभी बढ़ाओ ग्रुप बनानो पड़सी सहेलियां रे साथ में सहेलियां रे साथ में साथ निभानो पड़सी बहना चेत सके तो चेत जमानो आयो चेतन रो बहना बोल सको तो बोल जमानो आयो चेतन रो जमानो चेतन रो जमानो चेतन रो बहना चेत सके तो चेत जमानो आयो चेतन रो Thank you so much for having me as a part of this. And I really hope that the people watching this do donate to all the 4 organizations. And I also hope that SASAF organizes more such fundraisers. Thanks, Adrija. Back to you.
Thanks, Janani. That was beautiful. And I mean, that's a message that we started this fundraising with, to say that, only together, if we all come together, we can imagine a new world. So it is time to kind of join hands and fight this fight together. And the song that you sang so beautifully said that through music. So thank you so much again. Next, we are going to move on and hear from another organization that we are working with. And the organization, through this organization is working to raise funds for the fishing communities in the south of Bengal. DMF, so Disha and DMF was founded to advocate for better policy that protects fishing communities as well as fish resources, and hope to establish alternative paradigms for sustainable development. They have also been working to support fisher folk impacted directly by the Amphan cyclone. And speaking to us today is one of my closest friends and comrade, Siddharth, who I haven't seen in very long, but we organized together very closely last year. And so I'm so happy to see Sid, but also handing over to you.
Hey, thanks everyone at SASAF for organizing this. Um, you know, I am a member of Disha and I'm a very late member to Disha. Disha stands for Direct Initiative for Social and Health Action. And it was founded about 30 years ago, largely working with pollution and toxic waste in and around Calcutta, work that it still keeps doing. And in the early 90s, when the fish workers movement in India was really taking off after liberalization, was when it began organizing with a lot of the fishing communities. And I think the network of working with the fishing sector, because so a lot of the work that I do through Disha is also with the fishing sector. And the fishing sector is actually one of those sectors which during the lockdown has been functional. So there was a brief shutdown that happened, but after that, parts of the sector were reopened. Parts of it still remain shut because it's not possible for fishing to happen under the pandemic conditions. But fish being a vital source of protein for a lot of people, being the primary staple diet for a lot of coastal people, fishing has continued. And we've been faced with a lot of challenges. And therefore, it became really important that older networks like DMF, which is the West Bengal Fish Workers Forum, Disha, and national affiliate members that they are attached to, whether that's National Fish Workers Forum, which is a national level union, a national inland union, which are interstate kind of unions. There was a lot of work that expanded during the lockdown dealing with repatriation of migrant workers. We had people die on fishing boats after the lockdown was announced, dealing with everything that comes with that, non-payment of wages, people having to find their own way home, which has been one of the most telling stories in India's lockdown, the humanitarian crisis of that. And then, one of the things that really struck us all when Amphan stuck and we were in the midst of the pandemic was that for a lot of natural resource communities like the fishing communities, the pandemic is just another disruption in a string of disruptions and calamities that people are going through. And I think that has really kind of thrown open the precarious nature of work that most people in in a lot of the world, but at least in the work that I've been involved in, are kind of engaged with, and how these pandemics come in out of control, but the way they are managed just end up exacerbating the effects. So for a natural resource community like the fishing communities, there's already been a resource crunch because of pollution and other kind of devastated kinds of fishing. Then there's been climate change. So the ocean in itself, the sea in itself has been changing. This not only has had material kind of depletions in their lives, but it's had a huge psychological impact as well. There's this inability to keep up with the pace of the change that's happening. Then you have another psychological assault from a very Brahminical kind of setup of governance, where traditional knowledge, traditional systems are looked upon as being inferior and having to be left behind. And so you get new forms of development. And somehow the two things that didn't stop was the government's kind of indifference towards what was happening. And the other thing that didn't stop was policy making. So we've seen a string of policy makings coming in. Just again, with the fishing community, we've got a new environmental impact assessment that's coming in. We've got a new national fisheries policy. We've got a new fisheries scheme as a complete overall of fish production in India. And this is all at a time when communities cannot meet each other, they cannot travel, they cannot engage with each other. And what this has created is, off the back of last year and the last couple of years, with cyclones have been terrible. You know, we've had record number of cyclones on the West Coast that we haven't seen over a century. Something on the East Coast we haven't seen in 35, 36 years. So that came with a huge resource crunch, lots of difficulties, translated into the pandemic, translated into the humanitarian crisis, has further translated into new policies that are further kind of putting people into very precarious positions. So, and at the same time, struggles are coming together. And I think that's the strength of unions and workers, because they expand their solidarity networks the moment they find that there are avenues for solidarity. So, you know, Disha and DMF have expanded into inland sectors, migrant fish workers, fisher women, Amphan relief, honey collectors, bee collectors, forest workers in the Sundarban region. And that work has kept expanding. So the biggest challenge at the moment is, how does one sustain this work financially? Because the work has moved far ahead of being able to keep up with fundraising and being able to actually sustain this kind of work. So I was thinking about this fact that there's Roxanne Gay in the UK, who actually very early on in the pandemic, when it was hitting the United Kingdom, said the one thing that we need to do at this point in time is give people money. And I think civil society has really come together to show what kind of mobilization can happen when there's a failure of governance. But that scale is not enough. At the same time, I think it's important that we put money back into people's hands. And I just wrote down a few reasons why I think it's important. I think one is that it helps in keeping resistance alive. Unions and workers have been at the forefront of resistance movements, and giving money is important so that people can keep that resistance alive. There's a lot of infighting and conflicts that happen within the community when there's shortages. I think it's really important that that funding keeps that solidarity together. People are in really precarious positions. So if we have to see them through until conditions improve, until the pandemic kind of abates, and people can get back to economic activity, I think it's important to tide that time over. And I think mainly it's to kind of restore a sense of solidarity, national, local, but most importantly, global as well. And I think this morning there was a webinar on Black, Dalit, and Shidi solidarities that brought together about 35,000 people from across the world. And today we are ending on something from the UK, lending solidarity to South Asia. So I think I'd really like to thank everyone, but I'd also like to really appeal that there are people on the ground who've been doing this for a long time, and they could do with all the help that we can. And at this point in time, it really is about putting money so that people can mobilize and continue to look for solutions to take on the pandemic, to take on Brahminism, to take on fascism, to take on the authoritarian turn that we're taking. And I think it's important that we really stand by them. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Sid. It feels very weird to say thank you to you, but lal salam. And thank you so much for coming and talking to us about the amazing work that you're doing. And of course, I don't think we need to say that we're going to continue working together. And this is going to be a long fight, and it's going to be a long journey, but we are going to be in it together. And also, please remember, everyone, that the importance of unions that Sid was talking about, because in this current authoritarian, climate, unions are being cracked on like across the world. But unions are so important in this environment of bringing people together and working on ground and creating collectives and solidarity. So that's a very important lesson for a very important thing for all of us to remember. So thank you. And I'm going to pass it on to Jo.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Sid. Before we go on to our next participant, I just want to take a moment to thank all the people who have contributed to our Keto fundraiser. It's a big deal. No amount is small, no amount is too big also. So please do keep contributing. That would enable us to send this money to all the 4 organizations that we are talking about, and one of which Sid was also representing. For our next performance, we will be joined by Artin Salimi, who is a student of hip hop, poetry, and art in general. He also creates music videos that aim to spread the ideas of various philosophers and thinkers through stop motion animation. So, hi Artin, can you hear us? Are you here?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you, first of all, so much for the invitation. And I would definitely urge everyone to donate for the fundraising. I will be performing one piece, if that's okay.
Yes, that's absolutely fine. And Artin has told us that they're going to keep their videos off.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes.
Performance. Perfect.
What is fascism? Some say it starts with Nazi salutes and ends with half of a group in a noose that's too tight for history to ever include to its good list. Santa writes the binary. History books decidedly ignore the faces in the chimney and get straight to the large man who gifts his own children the monopoly. Some say it's suits and handshakes inside rooms where handmaidens' tales aren't even a bad day. Immaculate manicures, manhandling the minotaur in the labyrinth of egos trying to be the matador. In a constant game of power where empty shells try and make each other crack every hour. Believe me when I tell you they believe if they don't press the button, somebody else with the right beliefs will. Father, forgive me for I couldn't kill. Survival of the fittest replaced by how do we curb the survival of the dismissed. Social Darwinist biscuits made with the identical genetic imprint of the perfect eggs that were whisked in. Served in rooms that congest our life charge by decisions made in zones with high emission with the masses barred. Still, Humpty Dumpty seems to be bailed out after every fall, boom and bust counting every 10, even when the king's men couldn't put the shells together again. Who steps in to lend a helping hand to the yelping sands of time? Fascism. Necropolitics, quite the opposite of a life worth bothering, hollering to the spirits that were hovering over slave trades and paved ways for insane debt. You say when it's enough and they'll tell you it's you, they, them, never get to decide who's sailing, where, why, when. Overseas that bring back rubber, cotton, colton, shudder as the forgotten molten, tears from years of enduring magma, holding on to hope like a prayer on a sinking ship. That's the every transaction as elastic as a lip, trembling to the sound of the march so that the fools in April, May decide my June. What is fascism? Some think it starts with suits and ends with youth stitching back together prayer mats for a country that lost the sense of how division even entered its roots. Some say it's waking up and not doing your bed because the human being in your house read about the new life on the internet, so they traveled, only to have their passport taken along with their cellular to now ensure the creases on your blanket never make contact with your retina. Fascism is thinking you're actually doing them a favor, that the world has blessed you with so much intelligence and wisdom that it's only your benevolence and kind heart that has allowed them to even exist. Maybe on holidays you even give them a gift and tell your children that if they don't do well in school, they may end up like this. Fascism is coins rattling in cups, battling for a planet to stand still and just take the veiled truth like a mannequin, still silent. but panicking on the inside. And yeah, that's me. Just a quick thank you again for SASAF for organizing such a brilliant event, to all the artists and performers. And yeah, just please do donate to the fundraiser. Any amount is already an amazing effort. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Artin, and not only for the brilliant performance, but also for being such a fantastic ally in this journey, for helping us put this together, and for making the amazing poster that all of you saw that was circulated for the event that was made by Artin.
Absolute pleasure, Ajuja. Thank you for having me again.
Of course, anytime. Thank you so much. Bye. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our next performer, Les. Les has been a political activist since the 1960s and has been involved in the campaign against criminalizing communities, or CAMPAC, Jewish Network for Palestine, JNP, and the Green Left within the Green Party. He's a member of 4 music ensembles and will be performing some political music from across the world for us today. Also, CAMPAC has been an amazing ally to our causes right from the time we started. They have helped us, and they have helped us spread the message and reach critical allies and build critical solidarities. So thank you so much for everything and for being with us today. And we are excited to hear your songs. Over to you, Les.
Yes, thanks for organizing this and including me.
Les, your sound is not very, we can't hear you very well.
Okay, is that better?
That is perfect.
Okay. Yeah, normally I give political speeches, but I'm happy to sing songs instead for this special event. And I mean, normally I do sing-alongs, at least with the chorus. The internet has a time delay which prevents us from all hearing each other singing together, but everyone is muted anyway, so it makes no difference. So I'll start with the chorus of a song, and perhaps you'll sing along. But first I'll explain the song. Some of you will know. It's called Deportee, also known as The Plane Wreck at Los Gatos, written in 1948 by Woody Guthrie. Shortly after he heard a radio news report about a plane crash, at Los Gatos Canyon. The plane was carrying Mexican deportees, who had been casual laborers in the plantations, I think we can say, in Southern California, in the Braceros program. That's the Spanish word for arms, meaning cheap labor, really. And the radio report named the members of the crew, who were all US citizens, but referred to the far greater number of Mexicans as simply deportees. So that outraged and inspired him to write this song. So I'll just play the chorus, and then we can sing along the chorus, which is in English except for adios mis amigos, goodbye to my friends. So goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees. You want to try that, everyone? I won't be able to hear you, so no problem making mistakes. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your names when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees. The crops are all in and the peaches are rottening. The oranges piled in their creosote drums. They're flying them back to the Mexican border to pay all their money and wade back again. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees. My father's own father, he waded that river. They took all the money he made in his life. My brothers and sisters came working the fruit trees, and they rode the big truck till they lay down and died. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees. Some of us are illegal and some are unwanted. Our work contract's out and we have to move on. 600 miles to the Mexican border. They chase us like outlaws, like rustlers, like thieves. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita. Adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your names when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees. The sky plane caught fire over Los Gatos Canyon, a fireball of lightning and shook all our hills. Who are all these friends scattered like dry leaves? The radio says they are just deportees. Is this the best way we can grow our big orchards? Is this the best way we can grow our good fruits? To fall like dry leaves and rot on the topsoil and be called by no name except deportees. Final chorus. Goodbye to my Juan, goodbye Rosalita, adios mis amigos, Jesus y Maria. You won't have your name when you ride the big airplane. All they will call you will be deportees. And the next song comes from Brazil. It has a simple chorus, meaning a simple melody, and no words. So easy. I'll explain the song. It's called Canto das Três Raças, Song of the Three Races, and it's about the three social groups which each revolted separately in different points in Brazilian history, all of them ending in defeat, but with the idea that if we all revolt together, then maybe we'll succeed. So just a brief summary of the English words. So no one hears the sobs of pain in the Song of Brazil, a sad lament which always echoes since the Indian warrior was taken captive and from there cried out. The black man, meaning the slave or the former slave, cries out. A song of revolt from the Quilombo dos Palmares. Quilombos were the escaped slaves. In fact, they escaped to a forest area and set up the first ever democracy in Brazil. And then the next revolt from the Luta dos Inconfidentes, was the Brazilian settlers who were inspired by the French Revolution and carried out a similar effort in Brazil, but it failed. Nothing worked out. From war to peace, from peace to war, all the people of this earth, when they are able to sing, they sing of pain. The pain echoes night and day. It is deafening, more than suffering. The song of the worker, which should be a song of joy, is only a sob of pain. So I won't do the chorus first because it's so easy, you can follow. Ninguém ouviu soluçar da dor no canto do Brasil. Lamento triste sempre ecoou desde que o índio guerreiro foi cativeiro e de lá cantou. negro ento, un canto de revolta pelos ares, no quilombo dos pamares, donde se refugió, fora luta dos confidentes, pela quebra das correntes, nada antio, e de guerra em paz em guerra, todo o povo dessa terra, quando pode cantar, cantar de dor. Chorus. Oh, 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 repeat. Ah, 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 echo a noite dia e ensurdecedor. Ai, mas que agonia, o canto do trabalhador. Ese canto que debía ser un canto de alegría, so apenas como un soluçar de dor. Chorus again. Oh, 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 final time. Oh, oh,
Thank you so much, Dan. That was amazing. And we were with our microphones mute, we were humming along with you. And this is when you realize that, if this event was with a group of people in real life, like we are used to having events, we would have all been singing with you right
yeah. So would you like one more song?
Unfortunately, we
Okay.
are really,
Okay.
we are running,
Yeah,
we are
running
running
a
behind
Yes.
schedule, but we would have loved to hear more songs. But thank you so much for
Yes,
taking
maybe
out.
it calls for another Jashn-e-Sangharsh very soon.
Yeah, I think it calls for another event very soon.
Yes.
Where we can have you back with us and hear some more music.
And you can teach us more music.
Yes. Okay, thanks.
Thank
Shukriya.
you so much. Thank you so much, Les. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Gonna hand over to
Namaste. Salam alaikum. Sat Sri Akal.
Bye.
Bye.
Comrade. Bye.
So I'm going to just introduce because they have not been able to join us from India. Darbar Mahila Swamanaya Committee is a collectivization of 65,000 sex workers that work to enhance the process of social and political change with an objective to establish, promote, and strengthen the right, dignity, social status, and improvement of the quality of life for all sex worker communities. They have been supplying dry rations to sex worker communities who were impacted by the COVID lockdown and now to those impacted by the Amphan cyclone. The organization is incredibly active on ground and has a widespread network of care and effort. We are happy to stand in solidarity with their work, and we really hope to raise more money. So this is again a reminder for all of you watching to contribute as little or as much as you can.
And Darbar can't be here today because I got on call with them, and apparently there are thunder showers in Calcutta, and they have lost Wi-Fi connection, unfortunately, so they can't be there with us. But they send us solidarity, and like all the organizations and collectives and people that we are working with on ground, we will continue to work with Darbar and see in what ways we can continue to support
their work. Yeah. Okay, on to you.
Shall we say something about Sasaf now?
Yeah, we can actually. Yeah. The one thing we haven't done till now is introduced who SASAF is and what the South Asian Students Against Fascism group has been doing. So would you like to introduce our viewers to SASAF?
Sure. So South Asian Students Against Fascism UK, or SASAF, as we like to call ourselves, was formed during the anti-CAA protests in India in December 2019. And it is an eclectic group of individuals. We are students, academics, trade unionists, workers, and people from the diaspora who came together organically to start a collective to respond to what was happening back home. But most people who are part of the collective also come from a long tradition of activism, not only in South Asia, but also in the UK. It was so SASAF has always been closely supported by the SOAS India Society, which some of us have been part of for many years. And it is one of the only India societies, left-wing India societies in the UK at the moment. And both SASAF and India Society and similar other platforms that we work with, we have tried to establish ourselves as a critical platform of resistance against the current government, and to respond to calls from people who are organizing on ground. Some of the things that we have done, we have obviously, because we were formed as a response to the CAA protests, we have organized along with other groups on ground a number of protests and rallies and programs. We also do a fortnightly reading group to continue the process of political education, and that has been even more so during the lockdown, where we have been thinking of different and creative ways to continue the work that we have been doing.
And with the coming of new problems, I guess we have just expanded the kind of work that we do, which includes this fundraiser, actually, because problems mean solutions.
Yeah, and also one of the things that we have been, again, I spoke about this a little bit in the beginning, that some of these problems that we are facing today in India are not isolated problems. They're global problems, and they require global solutions. We see fascist and authoritarian governments joining hands and supporting each other. So the only way we can fight is by coming together, by joining hands, by learning from each other. So we have been very closely working with collectives and groups from countries such as Chile, Lebanon, Iran, Iraq, Palestine, Kurdistan, Hong Kong. And in all our programs, we try and have people and groups from other countries to come and tell us about what is happening and try to see how we can do this work of cross-border solidarity.
Because the patterns of fascism are very similar to each other. So the patterns of solidarity must also be created to fight this sort of thought and hate that is brewing.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a show of support, we are not only donating or giving money and support and solidarity to the 4 organizations that you have
based in India,
that you're based in India, and that you heard from today, but we will also give a little part of what we have raised to organizations in Chile, and of course to Black Lives Matter, or BLM, who are fighting right now on the streets as we speak and do this event.
Yeah.
So
on to our next performance.
On to our next performance. And on this, it's a very good note to bring in our next performance, because we have someone all the way from Amazonia, Brazil, to share some of the amazing work that they are doing on ground, but also to share some of their musical performances. Dan, I will pass it on to you. Their group, hi Dan.
Hi there.
Works around talks a lot about the environmental situation, and right now I'm trying to draw some similarities between what is happening in India. And in the cover, using the cover of this lockdown, what the Indian government has done is passed a large number of mining contracts, which is going to lead to complete destruction of local ecosystems, but also will take away land from tribal indigenous communities
and destroy livelihoods.
So on that note, I'm going to hand it over to you to tell us something about the work that you do. Thank you so much for being with us.
This is the maraca from the Brazilian Amazonian indigenous people of Kayapo. And I touch this instrument and play it in celebration of Mother Earth and to make visible and audible the indigenous peoples, not just of the world, but particularly of the Brazilian Amazon, that are very vulnerable today. And I want to thank SASAF for this exceptional fundraising event. I've been very inspired by the artists I've heard so far, and I recognize, of course, Julie Ward, one of my close friends and collaborators. And I want to immediately bring into this fundraiser 6 young activists who founded the Community University of the Rivers, who are all performers who didn't even know they were Amazonian when they were children, because all the forests had been destroyed in their region, in our region where I live. But I want to bring them in immediately so you can see the work that they are doing and they can speak for themselves. If you can just enable me to show this video. Can you give us the video?
Yes, are you going to screen share?
Yes, please.
Yes, I think you can share your screen.
I can't at the moment, I don't think. Oh, yes.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, hold on.
Then you need to click again.
Click again?
Look for the green share screen.
Yep, got it, thank you.
Olá, meu nome é Camila Alves, tenho 23 anos. Coordeno a parte de dança, também sou coordenadora da CIT Dança Afro-Mundo.
You have to select which window you're showing us, Dan, because we can't see it. We can still see.
Sorry?
We can still see you. I think we can't see the video, so you have to select the screen.
How do I do that?
Yeah, so to do screen share, you'll see there are a number of screens which come up. So you have to select the one with the video on.
Trying to do this.
Will you tell me which one you want to show, and I will try and see if I can find it?
Thank you, yes. It's
the context one or the performance one?
No, the content, the Afro-Hais, not context, Afro-Hais plus CDR.
Okay, I am going to try and play it and see if I can share my screen. No problem. Sorry, everyone, for the technical difficulties. We've never done this before, so we are learning as we go as well. Dude, how to show it? Dude. Yeah. Now go back to Zoom. Yeah. Now do share screen on Zoom. Share? Share screen. Share. Full screen? Yeah. No share. Green button. No share. You select which window. It's not coming. First play the video. Play. You share screen.
Is that okay?
Bear with us. For some reason, it's not allowing us to share as well. So just give us 1 second and we're figuring it out.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone, just bear with us for 1 second while we figure this out.
Shall I read a poem while that's happening?
Yes, sure, please. That'll be amazing.
Okay. So this poem is dedicated to the people of India who are suffering the virus and also the recent cyclone. It's called Good Living. Every dawn, nets emerged from your needle, a precise white pen, weaving living wisdom into a web of concern. Even well-made, those nets, fish always escaped, transforming our boats into flying, flowing feasts. And suddenly the sun forgot to rise, I swear. In the darkness, We breathed so much ash. Maraba city became blind, lost its voice, and our canoes returned hungry. The dust settled, but nothing was ever the same. Today, in the shopping mall, I saw my dad's extinct canoe, beautifying the billboard, Maraba, the future. Our river Tocantins, traded for mandates, has become a favor in an aluminium dream. I feel betrayed, shaken by the cheering crowd. I search for any memory that can illuminate this blackout that threatens the world's future. I've already lost years scrolling message after message to relieve me of the hunger that addicts me to the consuming of my own imagination. I walk tense, impatient, ashamed, confused. Take my portrait, kid, right here in front of my river, an old woman requests, aloe vera leaves in her hand. My granddaughter wants to link me to the Maori people across the waters to heal their rivers on the other side of the world. The kindness of this sage frees me from my solitude. And suddenly, drums reskinned with love by youth already creating a network of good life begin to beat so synchronized, my pulse quickens and my humanity flows. Have you managed to?
Thank you so much, Dan. I will try again. I will make an attempt. Okay. Let us try.
Yes.
Is it on my screen now? Yes.
On the left. That's it. Yes.
We have to stop the video, Dan, because we can't, unfortunately, it's not showing on, it's not, because we're doing this on YouTube Live. So yes. The stream is not catching it on. But what I will do is it okay if I share both the videos that you have sent us on our social media for people to see? And we will do that right now. So that
okay, no problem at all. In which case, let me just say to you very briefly that yes, we are in solidarity both with yourselves and with the people of India. And we know that both peoples are suffering deeply authoritarian governments, populist governments that have no commitment to the care for life and no commitment to making sure that indigenous cultures and contemporary cultures which believe in a good living future are protected and nurtured. And the young people that I wanted to introduce you to are people who have been not only reclaiming their cultural identity, their African indigenous identity, but also reinventing it so that they can begin to think about an alternative project. And I mention this alternative project because it's one question to resist, but it's another question to transform yourself into a performer, a living performer of a new future. And this has never been so powerfully and painfully demonstrated as through the pandemic. The piece that I wanted to present to you today anticipates just by a few weeks the pandemic that the whole world is suffering, where people become refugees inside their own homes. And these young people, through dance, through percussion, through video, through poetry, now through solar energy, medicinal plants, sit with the military commanders, sit with the military police that have assassinated their own brothers and sisters, sit with the teachers who have in many ways betrayed their own ideals that took them into the teaching and educational professions. Fit with these people to create a university for all, made up of the streets, the homes, and the village squares and the rivers of their own community. And with communities committed to the same kind of living project in New Zealand, in Africa, in the continent of Africa, in Asia, inside Europe, inside Latin America. With these different communities, they are creating an alternative so that those who are most vulnerable can embrace an alternative, knowing that their future can be secure. I want to say many thanks for this invitation. I want to really celebrate every single artist that I've heard up until me, been deeply inspired, and I will bring their work to the Amazon, to the young people who are resisting and transforming to create a new alternative project, indigenous and contemporary, called Bien Vivre, good living. Many thanks.
Thank you so much, Dan. And we are really, really sorry that we couldn't show the video. We are trying to download a player right now, a different player, to see if we could do it. But unfortunately, the downloading is taking a bit of time as well. But as soon as we get off this call, we're going to put it off on our social media while the next person is performing. So anybody who is interested and wants to see the amazing performance that Dan was talking about, please go on our social media channels and check it out. And we put it immediately in the next few minutes.
You can.
Can I just quickly say, please, everyone who is watching this, donate anything that you can. But can I say to SASAF, please create more events like this. Brilliant, absolutely.
That is, we will. Thank you so much for, I know that the Wi-Fi connection is not great and you're in the middle of a pandemic and organizing. So we really, really appreciate you taking the time out and coming and sending us solidarity across borders.
Thank you so much.
Great, good luck there.
Thank you, thank you.
We now have a performance by Ananya, a writer, singer-songwriter, and activist with a focus on resistance to fascism in the UK and South Asia. Ananya has performed at various open mics in London and Norwich. Ananya, are you here? Just say hi to us and then we'll... Hi, Ananya.
Hi. Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Perfect.
Okay, yeah, great. As like you guys are saying, I'm an activist around South Asia and the UK. I'm in South Asia Solidarity Group, which kind of works on quite similar issues to SASAF around resistance to fascism in India and South Asia. And I think I wanted to say that I'm obviously thanks so much for organizing this event. I think this is a really great initiative, and I think it's so great how many different causes that you're fundraising for here. And I think I think all of these kind of different causes are all really relevant right now, and it just really brings out all of the different kind of situations that people are in, and all the different contexts where people just really need that fundraising. And I think this is really important work that, and also like obviously being with SASG, like we've also done quite a lot of fundraising initiatives. And I think as someone who's kind of been at the forefront of organizing those sort of things, I definitely really appreciate all the work that's gone into this, because I know it can be kind of a lot. And I think just hearing all these amazing artists from around the world and all the input of insights from all the activists as well has just been like really inspiring. So thanks for having me. So I'm just gonna sing a song that I wrote quite a few years ago, but I think it's pretty relevant now. kind of, so when I wrote this, I was kind of thinking of, about refugee experiences and kind of alluding to ideas around like no borders, that kind of thing. But yeah, from a kind of personal perspective, and I think it's kind of something that would kind of resonate in our kind of like anti-fascist circles now. So yeah, hope you enjoy. Big deep brown eyes and a smile so shy. Your heart melts when you see it. Tries to ignore it as he walks by, but everyone's looking at him. He sits at a table in the corner and tries to somehow forget. He's got 13 heads all turned his way, twice that number of eyes. Everyone trying to find out in their own way what he's doing there and why, and who's that guy. So now they're talking under their breath. They think he can't understand. He may not speak the same language, but he's on the same land. He looks out the window, thinks of home, and tries to remember a time when he didn't have 13 heads all turned his way, twice that number of eyes. Everyone trying to find out in their own way what he's doing there and why, and who's that guy. He's not trying to impress, he's just doing his best to get through. Sometimes life can be hard, especially when you're from outside and you. We've got 13 heads all turn your way, twice that number of eyes. Everyone trying to find out in their own way what are you doing there and why. He's got 13 heads all turned his way, twice that number of eyes. Everybody trying to find out in their own way what he's doing there and why. Who's that guy? He may not be from here, he still belongs here. He may not be from here, he still belongs here. You may not be from here, you still belong here. You may not be from here. Big deep brown eyes and a smile so shy. Your heart melts when you see it. Thank you. Have I got time for one more, or?
Unfortunately, we are really running out of time, Ananya, but as we're talking about it, that we'll have to do another one really, really soon.
Okay, yeah, no, that's totally cool. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. This was beautiful. You should sing
Thank
more
you.
protests.
Thank you. Yeah, I might take you up on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming and performing.
Thank you. No, it's been great.
Call out to
donate, yes, please, yes. My usual call outs to donate, contribute as much as you can. Our artists are telling you to, so you should, and I'm telling you to, so also you should. But yeah, no amount is too small, and we've reached our halfway mark, which is amazing, and we're very excited about that. And that means there's just a little more to go. Do your part.
It's a little weird to do a formal introduction for our next artist because she is one of my closest friends and comrades, and also a brilliant singer. Our next performer is Sara Kazmi. She's currently a PhD student in post-colonial literature at Cambridge. She grew up in Lahore, Pakistan, where she worked as a street theater activist, protest singer. Many of you who've come to our protest before have seen Sara sing as well. So without much further ado, I'm going to hand over to Sara.
Hello, thank you, Agrija, for the introduction. And I just want to, sorry, there's some distraction here. Yeah, so I just wanted to congratulate Sasaf on putting together this amazing event. And I just wanted to extend my solidarity to also all the radical artists who've made it here today and performed. I've been watching the performances, and also obviously for also solidarity for the survivors of the Amphan cyclone, and obviously the migrant workers. So I'm going to perform 2 songs for you today, and so the first song I'm going to do is Rang De Basanti Chola, which is a kind of folk song, and a kind of also which has become a protest song, and it's based on Bhagat Singh and has been associated with Bhagat Singh. And I grew up in Lahore, and I'm from Lahore, and of course that was his city. And I think Bhagat Singh, and then by extension this song is just that constant reminder of the need to very substantially actually work across the border in a South Asian context, and build those solidarities and build a politics which really actively fights against the border as well as across. So without further talk, I'm going to just jump into the song. मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला होए रंग दे, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला होए रंग दे, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला, माए रंग दे बसंती चोला, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला होए रंग दे, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला होए रंग दे, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला, माए रंग दे बसंती चोला, बड़ा ही गहरा दाग है यारो जिसका गुलामी नाम है, बड़ा ही गहरा दाग है यारो जिसका गुलामी नाम है, उसका जीना भी क्या जीना जिसका देश गुलाम है, सीने में जो दिल था यारो, सीने में जो दिल था यारो आज बना है शोला, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला होए रंग दे, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला होए रंग दे, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला, माए रंग दे बसंती चोला, आजादी के हम दीवाने आजादी ले आएंगे, खुशहाली और अमन की अपनी दुनिया नई बसाएंगे, सीने में जो दिल था यारो, सीने में जो दिल था यारो आज बना है शोला, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला, मेरा
चोले को पहन के भक्ता खेले अपनी जान पे, जिसे पहन झांसी की रानी मिट गई अपने आन पे, आज उसी को पहन के निकला, आज उसी को पहन के निकला हम मस्तों का टोला, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला, मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला, हाय रंग दे मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला, माय रंग दे मेरा रंग दे बसंती चोला, माय रंग दे बसंती चोला.
So something I forgot to mention before is that this is a version that obviously it's a popular song, but this particular version is inspired by Sheetal Sathe of the Kabir Kala Manch. And I know that Faiz has been really popular, especially in the context of the anti-CA protests. And Hum Dekhenge has become an anthem, which in a sense resonates with radical politics and protest on both sides of the border. So I felt that just continuing that tradition and also bringing into that kind of repertoire of protest music, music from sort of Dalit movements as well, I really felt like performing Sheetal Sathe's version of it. So the next song that I'm going to sing for you is also I think a big part of the shared heritage, particularly for the North Indian belt. But that's kind of further back in time. And I'm talking about Kabir, who lived in the 15th century, who is equally claimed by all religious and non-religious even traditions. And I think is kind of a pioneering voice for looking at anti-caste, anti-patriarchal, anti-class sort of protest, and giving us a voice for a really indigenous mode for that protest. So Kabir, this is Kabir, and this is a composition from Bhai Ghulam Chand, who was a Rababi who had migrated to Lahore from Amritsar at the time of partition. And he was one of the last kind of exponents of the Rababi tradition, who were traditionally Muslim musicians who would perform in Gurdwaras. And would sing the Granth and would sing the poetry of Guru Nanak and the Granth Sahib. So this is a tune that I learned in Lahore from Bhai Ghulam Chand. This is Kabir. अवलल्ला नूर पाया कुदरत के सब बंदे एक नूर से सब जग उपजया कौन भले को मंदे अवलल्ला नूर पाया कुदरत के सब बंदे एक नूर से सब जग उपजया कौन भले को मंदे अवलल्ला लोगा भरम न भूले ओ भाई लोका भरम न भूले ओ भाई खालिक खलक खलक में खालिक खालिक खलक खलक में खालिक पूरे रे सब ठाई अवलल्ला नूर पाया कुदरत के सब बंदे एक नूर से सब जग उपजया कौन भले को मंदे अवलल्ला माटी एक अनेक भांत कर माटी एक अनेक भांत कर साजी साजन हारे ना कछ पोच माटी के
भांडे ना कुछ पोछ तुम्हारे अल्लो लख न जाए लखिया गुड़ गुड़ घीना मीठा कहे कबीर मेरी शंका नासी कहे कबीर मेरी शंका नासी मैं सरप निरंजन देखा अवलल नूर है उपाया कुदरत के सब बंदे एक नूर से सब जग उपजे कौन भले को मंदे अवलल्ला 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 Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. As you can see, we live together, and I have the immense pleasure of hearing Sarah sing on a regular basis. Yes, so we are going to move on to our next performer. Our next performer is Suna Alan, who is a Kurdish and Alevi singer and journalist based in London. She spent most of her formative years surrounded by traditional Kurdish dengbeh bard music. I'm sure that I have pronounced that wrong, Suna, so please correct me. And Kurdish Alevi laments. Although her main focus remained Kurdish folk songs and also includes Armenian, Greek, Arabic, and Turkish songs. We are so thrilled that she's performing with us today. Suna, are you here? Suna? We just give a minute for Suna to come live. Hi, Suna, can you hear us? You are on mute. Perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry.
Thank you so much. Welcome to Festival of Resistance or Jashn-e-Sangharsh, Suna. And
thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you.
No, and of course, and we know that you're not only an amazing singer, journalist, but also an activist. So we would love to hear about some of the work that you do and hear some of your music as well.
Actually, I think we've got limited time. As a stateless person and as a member of Kurdish community, I would like to thank you for organizing this meaningful event. And I would like you to know that I am always ready to support your struggle, this amazing struggle. We will share some revolutionary songs from Kurdistan. I believe you're familiar with the music, definitely familiar with the music. The first song is Ashiti, means peace in Kurdish, originally Polishka Polye. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Suna.
Perfect. The lyric says, the peasants and laborers woke up. They all stood up together against attacks. They want freedom. They want peace and unity. شيربون لمبرري شنبو غرابون أريشن ببرزنابون بتانگو بتوب دچن شروجه دخوازن آزادی سربستی وکهوی آزادی سربستی دخوازن آزادی سربستی وکهوی آزادی سربستی جهد کاروشی ارگون لمبرلیشان به غرابون اریشان به برزانابون کار کرو رنشبر جهد کاروشی ارگون لمبرلیشان به غرابون اریشان به برزانابون بتانگو بتوب دچن شروجه دخوازن آزادی سربستی وکهوی آزادی سربستی دخوازن آزادی سربستی وکهوی آزادی سربستی. Okay. Can you hear me?
Hi, Sana. Yes, we can.
Perfect. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay. Our next song is Ciao Bella. And as you all know, it's an Italian folk song, was adapted to anthem for the Italian partisans against the Nazi German forces occupying Italy against the anti-fascist resistance. The lyrics of the song say, "One morning, when I awakened, my hands are tied up, my homeland, which I found is under occupation all around. You, the partisan, take me also with you, up to your mountains, can't stand the captivity." Giaresi behek de mashiahu. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 gredahi destimen, vela de khwedimen, era lishli bin destare, gredahi destimen, vela de khwedimen, era lishli bin destane, tuji partizan, min khwara bebe. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 من تفربي بربشي عين خي نكار بتشينم قردي جاي تشفربي بربشي عين خي نكار بتشينم قردي جاي. Geres bim kushtin, bu partisani. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 tumen weshere. Erdo destin fwe di khaka minda. Tumen weshere, beherdu destin fwe di khaka minda. Baro de pise, kulik bishkivin. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 e hatunu dichin. ببین دم خوش به ای گولاگی شیر ای هاتونو دچین ببین دم خوش به ای گولاگی شیر. Thank you, everyone. By the way, I would like to thank my friend Erdal Yapıcı for playing the Kurdish instrument tambur and accompanying me today. Our last song is again another revolutionary song in Kurdish, but it is originally a Soviet revolution song, Reya Khebate, the path of struggle, originally Katyusha. And the lyrics say, the path of our struggle may be long and difficult. It may be surrounded by fire. Regardless, we will never abandon our path. We are always ready to die. For a new world, for the downtrodden, for the establishment of an equal society. We will end oppression. We will sow the seeds of freedom. Reya khebate chendu saktu durbe, haver dorme petu hadirbe. Reya khebate chendu saktu durbe, haver dorme petu hadirbe. Reya pirostu charem bernadin, bo marine herti mamadin. Reya pirostu charem bernadin, bo marine herti mamadin. Bu dünya ke nubo heşaran, bodani najwa kayıksan. Bu dünya ke nubo heşaran, bodani najwa kayıksan. Raye sor dari beni dehlinim, تو به آزادی دچینم رای سرداری بری دهلینم تو به آزادی دچینم ری خبات چندو سخت و دور به آغر دور به چندو آگر به ری خبات چندو سخت و دور به آغر دور به تو آگر به ری پیراست جارم برنادن Bomerine herti mamadin, Reya pirostu charem bernadin, Bomerine herti mamadin. Thank you very much, Sasaf.
Thank you so much, Suna. Like that was breathtaking.
Especially I mean, I was so happy to see
we were singing along.
Peak.
And you know that like when the protests started in India, Bella Ciao became an anthem.
In the translated so many languages.
So it echoed with the streets of India as well. And you know, this is something that we're trying to do through this festival of resistance or Jashn-e-Sangharsh, is to create these solidarities across borders. So this
was my honor. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes, of course. And one more thing that, like, you know, your word for freedom is azadi, which is our word for freedom as well, like Jinjian azadi. It is our word for freedom as well. We have the same word. So yeah, so here's to fighting for freedom and freedom for all, and doing it across borders by coming together. So thank you so much, love and solidarity to you and all the people who are fighting out there. We are in this together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suna. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
So on to our next artist, who I am very shy to introduce because they're my partner. But we have to do these things apparently. Our next artist, Tina Sai Balamu, aka Grapita Box, is a queer indie musician based in London, formerly based out of Bangalore. Through their music, they want to start a conversation on queerness, mental health, being a person of color, and the important role visibility plays in the career of a queer artist and how it can make a huge difference to someone who is closeted. They will be singing for us today. So Tina, please take the mic from me and go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much for having me today. It's honestly, it's my pleasure and honor to be here, because to be a part of, a festival of resistance, and what you're doing is really, really, really beautiful and necessary and important. And for those of you who are watching it live or not live, please make sure to donate how much ever you can, if you can, because it's really important that you do. So today I'm going to be playing a couple of songs. I'm Tina Sai Balamu. I'm also known as Grape Guitar Box. I'm an indie musician and I'm a queer musician. So happy Pride. The first song I'm going to be playing is a song that I wrote earlier this year, in around January, I think. And this was when the CAA and RC protests were just, gaining some traction back in India and all over the world, in fact. And out of this helplessness was where the song was born out of. And it's about being there for each other and trying our best to get through these times. It feels like a home that you always know. They strip you of your rights and say you don't belong. It feels like I'm at the edge of a cliff and you and I are meant to die. It feels like it is the end of the world if we don't fight. We will fight. We've been searching far away to a place that was once a home. The scars of your flashes and ashes remain. There's no more to lose or to wait or to break. We will fight until it's right. We've been searching for a way to a place that was once a home. There's no stopping us now. There's no stopping us now. There's no stop. We've been searching for a way to a place that was once a home. We've been searching for a way to a place that was once a home. Thank you. So the next song that I'll be playing is an original. I think I feel so strongly and I feel so good being in this space because as a trans person, as a queer person, my existence has always been a form of resistance. And that's something that my partner said to me one day and I thought was so beautiful. And I'm going to be playing another original called Meant to Be Yours. It's from my debut EP called Out. And this song is a love song, but the reason why it's so special to me is because it's the first openly queer song that I wrote and I released. And as a previously closeted artist and a person, it was a huge, huge thing for me to do. So I hope you guys like it. Baby, I thought that I was fine when I fell in love with your eyes. Maybe I thought that I could keep this secret from you. I never thought that I had a chance with a girl like you who was with another boy, and I thought that I could keep the secret from you. I finally found a place in your heart. I finally saw what it meant to be yours. You're the only thing that matters, other than the things I wanna share with you. And I'd do anything for only you, nobody else but you. And I thought that I could keep a secret from you. I finally found a place in your heart. I finally saw what it meant to be yours. What it meant to be yours. Thank you so much. And that was my last song. So, and just again as a reminder, please make sure you, if you can, please do donate through to the Ghetto Fundraiser.
Okay, major fangirling moments. Thank you, Tina Sai, for performing for us. You don't have to show only my face for this. You can also. Okay, it's probably because I'm blushing. But anyway, we'll move on to our next performer, Suhaima. Thank you so much, Tina. Suhaima Manzoor Khan is an educator and poet who exposes and interrogates mainstream narratives about history, race, gender, power, and violence. We're looking forward to everything Suhaima has to say to us today. So, welcome. Hi, I see you. Can I hear? Do you hear us?
Hey, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. So I'm going to just let you do your thing and I'll mute myself.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Wow, where do I start? I've really enjoyed everything that I've heard today. And also, I don't know if Tina Sai knew, but like the way that the light was playing on their face, I was just like, this is such a magical performance. But yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to be here today and for the work that you're all doing and collectivizing together, and just the international kind of solidarities that I've seen this afternoon have been really heartening. And I think I just wanted to say thank you to the organizers as well, because I know this kind of thing, even though on the day it just looks like it's been fairly easy to put together, I know it can take a lot of work, and I hope that you're all taking care of yourselves, and you know that we can kind of also connect you know, our internal wellness to that broader international global wellness. I think those two things can't be separated. So yeah, I just wanted to honor everybody who I've seen perform today, and everyone who I haven't as well. The ones that I managed to catch earlier and now I've really enjoyed. So it's a huge honor to be on the lineup and be part of this international resistance against state violence and structural conditions of capitalism, global imperialism, all of our favorite things, which I guess when I was just thinking when you were talking, introducing the event, that not only those conditions don't only exacerbate, but often produce what we are told to call natural disasters as well, all of which this event speaks to. So yeah, I'm just really excited. And I think I wanted to start actually with a poem that I have written just in the last kind of little while, whilst the last few weeks of things have been going on. And I wrote it in response to somebody kind of saying, is it really realistic to want, this transformation of the world, is it realistic? And yeah, I think there's a lot of thoughts that we all have when it comes to that question. But when we're thinking about these conversations around global dissent, global repression, it's a global imagination that is needed. And, all the voices we've heard today, I think, speak to that. So this poem is just a response to that question to begin with. Yeah, so it's called, I don't know, this is a working title, it's called, But How Realistic Is It? When you ask how realistic it is to transform the world, I have to ask, what is realistic? What backwater of the mind did you dredge this word up from? Which of our realities is realistic? How many of our reals are we told are unreal? How many surreals are our realities? Is it realistic to expect we must die and be violated in order for systems to sustain themselves? Is it realistic to expect we must extract life from a withering earth in order for it to be maintained? Is it realistic that our babies must die for lives they never got to lead? Is it realistic that a block of homes can turn to ash and nobody be held to account? Is it realistic that the world can be on fire and nobody sparked the match? Is this realistic? Right here, right now. The mind suppresses that which it cannot fathom to be real, meaning this reality is so irredeemable that we only survive it through disbelief. And so if we disbelieve in the reality, if we fail to name the real for what it is, how can we talk of realistic? I do not wish to be limited by the real. But this is also a world of miracles, of seeds that erupt into trees, of wood that turns into flame, of touch that creates new life. Is any of that realistic? Is it realistic that we all hope for love in a world that insinuates we are not loved at every corner? Is it realistic that we find pockets of joy in months of misery? Is it realistic that we have always held on to one another whilst being beaten down into the mud? How tragic to be limited by the real. The real has never been ours. We live in the surreal and the unreal. Histories denied, unreal. Presents refused, unrealistic. Futures denied, surreal. I do not wish for the real. I live in a world webbed with prayer and fortified by angels, a world where an army of 300 can destroy a host of 1,000, a world where love has led old women to gasp in disbelief at the fact they ever survived it. I will not be contained by the audacity of the world which calls itself real. I am the unreal. I am soul. I am heart. I am anger. I am joy. I am stories nobody recalls. I am kun fayakun. I am a favor I will not deny. I am a flicker of somebody's thought. I am my entire existence. I do not wish for the real. I am not bound by the real. So when you ask, how realistic is it to transform the world? Ask instead, how realistic is it for us to leave it as it is? Thank you. So I'm going to see how many poems I can fit into this very short time. And I think the next poem that I wanted to do is about a specific, it's a specific piece of policy in the UK, but it's actually, a global logic of quashing dissent. And basically it's through the guise of countering violent extremism, countering terrorism. And I'm sure, wherever you're watching from in the world, you've seen it in its different manifestations, and the way that violence is pathologized into obviously disproportionately Muslims, but how that same logic, is rooted in anti-Blackness, is rooted in colonialism, and is kind of being used to quash all sorts of dissent against the nation, against the state in these moments. So this is about particularly the prevent policy in the UK, which if you don't know about it, is basically, you'll find out now. So here we go. You cannot say that you're preventing terrorists if all that you're doing is preempting terrorists. Because in a political climate where terror is presupposed in certain people, your predictions are predicated purely on profiling. And this premise of profiling lacks scientific precision, it just takes perceived Muslimness as the prerequisite for violent decisions. So whilst preemption might sound like it makes political sense, in a legal system that purports to presume innocence, prevent is nothing more than prejudice. Because now a beard or a penchant for the wrong prophet or praying become proof of a predisposition to violence you're displaying, yet the polemics of politicians who protest Muslim presence don't qualify as prevent-worthy practices requiring repentance. So what we're looking at is public policy prepared prior to evidence that even the psychologists have said is pseudoscience, a project that promotes the policing of Muslim people, placing pressure on the public sector to presume Muslim pupils and patients are prone to evil. You cannot say that you're preventing terrorists if all that you're doing is preempting terrorists. And to argue it's okay because prevent also prevents far-right extremists is to lie that a system predicated on Islamophobic prejudice could possibly protect Muslims from a persecuting legislative. It is to lie that policy based in predictive policing could possibly be used to prevent itself. That providing further profit to an Islamophobic project is not just the most palpable manifestation of state persecution made publicly palatable through institutionalization. And let's not pretend prevent has no purpose either, because promoting the presumption that Muslims are prone to violence conveniently pretends the state cannot be violent. No need to ponder the parameters that shape Muslim lives, no puzzling over foreign or domestic policy, arms trades, or racial profiling. See, prevent perpetuates public policy participating in displacement, protecting the state and government from any pertinent debasement. No need to hold the political infrastructures accountable. Instead, the problem is Muslims, and the Muslim problem is simply insurmountable. Pretty convenient, no? You cannot say that you're preventing terrorists if all that you're doing is preempting terrorists. Perhaps if instead of prevent, we could ponder the past that made political violence probable, that imperialism loves to pretend itself away. So police are given more powers as if policing protects the nation, and prisons and deportation planes become methods of purgation. In the end, prevent is nothing but political deflection, proof that the state is headed in the most authoritarian direction. So prepare for permanent conditions of political persecution, because even if it's not yet palpable to you, the project of resistance is your obligation too. The project of resistance is your obligation too. And I'll just end on a short poem, which I guess I just wanted to do to honor the women who in the global fight back are always and have always been at the forefront of resistance, whether we historically remember that or not. And obviously I think we're all being inspired by what we saw at Shaheen Bagh this year and last year. So it's just a story it's a poem that I wrote when I was trying to write about like my grandmother and like aunties. And I think it's really hard to write about those people that we all know without reducing them to so much less than they are. I do not know how to write us outside of bangles and anklets, gold and pretty, but still a type of chain. I do not know how to write us outside of romance and tragedy, tears of joy or tears of grief, which for us too often are made the same. I do not know how to write us outside of long hair and long eyelashes, which apparently suit us better than long lives. I do not know how to write us outside of fear yet. Whispers and elisions and repeated mistakes. I wonder if our mothers promised they would not do the same. I do not know how to write us outside of our mothers, how not to make reference to their spines and silences, how to do it as more than a prelude to my own. I do not know how to write us outside of men, their eyes, their grips, their words, their pleasure. I do not know how to see our bodies outside their hands, how to salvage our skin from their requirements, how to write us with hairy arms and upper lips, bushy eyebrows before they were fashionable, cracked heels, full bellies and laughing mouths, not just kissing lips. I want to know how to write us outside the kitchen, and cinnamon and sugar. But we are onions, garlic, ginger, roots, tough, essential, the basis of everything, indispensable. Too often we are made into the moon, a mere mimicry of another's light. But we are the sun, the blaze, the fiery depth. We are deadly and uncontainable. Take back your rivers, your stars, your flowers. We are the source, the light, the soil. I want to write us outside of beauty and myth, though. outside secrecy, shame, and marriage, outside of songs, outside of heartbreak, outside of staring eyes and lowered gaze. I want to write us, even if I do not know how to begin, because at least that way, we'll be a story for ourselves this time. Thank you so much. Sorry that I've gone a little bit over time, but huge honor to be here again, and solidarity to all of you. And yeah, much, much love.
Thank you so much, Suhaima. That was amazing. It's lit some sort of fire inside me. I mean, which was always lit, but it's, I don't know, it makes you feel so much. When you see solidarity that is so cross-border, it makes you feel so much more better, and it gives you so much strength to keep fighting. And I feel that right now after listening to you. So thank you so much.
I feel that too after watching all of this today. So it's very mutual. Thank you so much.
We couldn't have asked for a better lineup, honestly, but I will go to the thanking after we are done with our last performer, which I'm very, very excited about. And I will leave to Adrija because Adrija wants to introduce EPR.
I specially asked to do this one introduction. I'm a little emotional and proud to introduce the next speaker. I've known EPR, I've had the pleasure of knowing EPR since he was not EPR, probably for the last 13 years, when he walked into my college and we studied in the same college. And I saw his journey from becoming Shantaram Srinivasan Iyer to EPR. Yeah, we've done a lot together. We've organized together. We walked in protest rallies together. We have done theater together. We have written together. So our last performer today is EPR, who's a Marxist rapper and protest poet from Calcutta. He performs with a popular Indian brand called Underground Authority, but also individually, and speaks about the neoliberalization of education, farmer suicide, and the agrarian crisis. He has been an outspoken critique of the current Modi government in India and the global rise of fascism and racism. And we are so thrilled that EP can come and perform for us today. So, brother, comrade, friend, I hand over to you, EP. EP, are you there?
Minute.
EP, we can hear you now.
Yeah,
Perfect.
You can hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a great honor to be there, and I just got up to 2 performances, and it was like really amazing, and really amazing for me to be a part of this as well. And without further ado, let me bring to you my protest poetry. And the first song that I'm going to talk about, or I'm going to wrap it out to you, is about the condition. I mean, like all know that India is an agrarian country, and all the leaders who come into power, they give promises and false promises that they're going to make our farmers prosper, but then again, they do not do it. And we all know the story which happens. I mean, basically, thousands and thousands of farmers commit suicide, and the national media doesn't cover their issues, their plight, and everything. So that led me to do this song. And for this song, also, I took up a famous, everybody knows Rabindranath Tagore's Akala Cholare. So I really wanted to take take his lines and put it in my tone, and then convey the message. So here goes. That would be my first song.
₹2 किलो प्याज बेचा है 4 दिन से खेत में बारिश में गया प्याज निकाला है बारिश से मजदूर लगा के मजदूर को पैसा देने का नहीं कहां से कर्जा लाऊं
उत्तम खेती मध्यम बाण निकृष्ट चातुरी भीख निदान किसान चक्रव्यूह में अभिमन्यु आंकड़ा उपलब्ध नहीं बंधु आत्महत्या की रिपोर्ट प्रकाशित 2016 से गायब दूरदशा कसूर किसका मजबूरन आंदोलन का रास्ता सड़कों पे उतरना पड़ रहा आक्रोश पनपती हर दिशा बढ़ती लागत तेजी से फसलों की प्राइवेट कंपनियों की महंगी बीजें महंगी पेस्टिसाइड 51 प्रतिबंधित को इजाजत टेस्टिफाई बीमारियों की लागत कर्जा जाल कयामत छत्तीसगढ़ से कर्नाटका बिहार हरियाणा MP महाराष्ट्र दूध प्याज टमाटर फेंके फिर भी क्यों नहीं आती खबरें न्यूज में मैं आश्चर्यचकित हूँ जो भी चोर जाग सुने क्यों ना आसे आवाज तुम्हारी खो जाए आवाज ये बहरी सो जाए sobe ekla chalo dat सुने क्यों ना आशे आवाज तुम्हारी खो जाए आवाज ये पहरी सो जाए सोबे एकला चलो रे बेमौसम बारिश ओला वृष्टि बाढ़ सूखा चक्रवात निराशा बार बार हड़ताल हर घंटे मरते देश में एक से ज्यादा किसान फसलों की दामों में भारी अनिश्चितता ना इत्तेफाक कोई मुनाफा कौड़ी के दामों में बिकती उनकी हर एक उत्पाद क्या बात जनाब गरीबी रोटी दो वकी ना नसीब बताओ उनके बेटी बेटियों को कैसे स्कूल कैसे शिक्षा टुकड़ों में ये जिंदगी वही पुरानी पोशाक गांव गांव दलालों द्वारा परेशान उनके मरने पर भी ना कोई जो नेता उनका नाम कृषि प्रधान देश कृषि संकट पे ना गौर अब या तो आत्महत्या या फिर आंदोलन की जोड़ी तोड़ तक सुने क्यों ना आशे आवाज तुम्हारी खो जाए आवाज ये पहरी सो जाए सोबे एकला चलो दास सुने क्यों ना आशे आवाज तुम्हारी खो जाए आवाज ये बहरी सो जाए सोबे एकला चलो रे Farmers of our country unite, for we have nothing but to lose our chains. For we have nothing but to lose our chains. Thank you. So basically, what it means is, you know, Akla Chaudhary, it means actually to walk alone. So what I was saying basically was, when the country is not listening to you, when your leaders are not listening to you, do not give up hope, just walk alone. And the next track that I'm going to do is called We in a Hindustan. It talks about a variety of problems and it talks about, two very controversial things. I mean, the Citizenship Amendment Act and also the NRC and how, a lot of people would be asked to prove if they are Indians or not. I mean, like we have lived in the country for so long, but that again puts us, in this question, in a dilemma that whether we would be able to prove ourselves as Indians or not. And also the fact that, it gives so many questions. I mean, like, you could use all those taxpayer money. I mean, the implementation of a pan-India NRC would take about like 70,000 crores. I mean, you can build so many IIMs with that, educational facilities, and you can help in sanitation. You can clear the debts of all the farmers in the country. But then again, our leaders do not want that. So this song is called We in a Hindustan. So here goes. You're my, oh. Peace, love, and unity. You're my, oh. And unity and diversity. You're my, oh. We in a Kolkata, Bukebang Papa, Mongole Natole, Boom Shiva Shankar, City Life Changer, Concrete Jungle, Babylana enemy, we are just soldier, we in a jungle, our back against the wall, Gumed and Gumacha, don't you let down your guard, in the capital of culture, political culture, but the Berosgari government no give no job, hey, okay, so lose the battle when you win the war. To me, many Columbia mightier than as water play. The Shokuna beach, one reporter up the street too. Landani boss and Kavi Kamikaze. Hey, Wapuche Heka, Tumare Kada, Sapute Harati and Nagarik, Vanava, her detention, camp and no redemption song. All your taxpayer money, 70,000 cold corn. And Peso say, you're not glad that of the farmers. You have to set up schools, set up 100 IIMs. We could go to Mars and we can see the unprivileged, but all you want for us to show our birth certificates. Sadly, seeing you, AMU, police brutality, Facebook, fake news, falling economy, Turkish democracy, खतरे में ये संविधान और democracy. We in a park circus. Picture of Ambedkar. Peacefully protest. Police kill their hearts. Symbol of resistance. Himmat and persistence. I hope आवाज हमारी wake up the nation. We in a Kerala. From a mana shrinkala. 620 किलोमीटर लोग 70 लाख. मुख्यमंत्री जितेंद्र शाह शपथ ली संविधान की. Tininga hum ladai against fascists. We in a indigo. Ban karo kunal ko. Same cheese stages. We ke saath to okay cool. Katputli hai ye media. We sell our air India. Gunman shooting protesters in a video. We in a Hindustan. Save the constitution. कितनों को तुम गोली मारोगे regime fascism. ये मुल्क ना तेरे बाप की हर जुल्म से आजादी. We are protest forward, not afraid of your guns. We are protest poets, not afraid of your guns. So that song, me and Hindustan again, talked about a lot of things from unemployment to what I believe that we are under a rule of a fascist government, which is killing journalists and, basically doing so many bad things. And the media is also being controlled by our leaders, where in Bengal, when cyclone struck, I mean, the national media was, just showing celebrities, doing their quarantine routine and stuff like that, and how it's controlled by the corporate media. And these are all the things that I talk about in my songs. And the last song that I'm gonna do, this song is basically on Lakshmi Agarwal, who's an acid attack victim and survivor, and she has done a lot for the community and a lot for the women of our country. And I mean, yes, so this one tells you the story about how she fought against the open sale of acid, which was legal in India. She went to court and how she did that. And this track is called Agnipat. Here it comes. कहानी सहन क्षमता की भी ऐसी एक भारतीय जन्म स्थान दिल्ली में परिवार सपने कामयाबी के 2005 साल 15 दुगनी उम्र का कोई सिरफिरा कारण नकारे जाने के जो शादी के प्रस्ताव को लेके दोस्तों के साथ खान मार के तेजाब उठा ले मुंह पे लक्ष्मी जख्मी तकदीर ऐसी चमड़ी शरीर की कल कुछ माखूब सूरत चेहरा दिन दहाड़े बाजार में बदल गाड़ियों से टक्कर सड़क पे रोटी हुई पिता से लपट कर जब दिल रखी किया खेती कोच में किस्मत को कोसते बख्श दिया खुदा ने जीवन पर किस गुनाह की सजा मिले काबिले खर्च के पास सर्जरी पे सर्जरी रिकवरी गवाई पाई कमाए जिंदगी डर किया आईने से देखो फिर भी तू ना रुकेगी कभी तू ना थमेगी कभी तू ना मुड़ेगी कभी कर शपथ अग्निपथ तू ना रुकेगी कभी तू ना थमेगी कभी तू ना मुड़ेगी कभी कर शपथ अग्निपथ पहला सबसे बड़ा संघर्ष आरोपियों को सालों अंदर किया दर्ज PIL हाईकोर्ट में साल 3-2-0-0-6 खुलेआम एसिड की बिक्री पर मौजूदा कानून में संशोधन सालों तक लड़ी कड़ी टक्कर परिवार संभाला कभी सिलाई कभी वो बनकर ब्यूटिशियन मेहनत आजीवन की भाई की लंगो बीमारी पिता की मृत्यु भारी जारी जंग डर किनारे विचारों को परंपरागत आगे वो पुरस्कार मिशेल ओबामा से फाउंडेशन छाव NGO बन रही है उस पर मूवी तो सारी दुनिया जानेगी पर क्या हम इतने अंधे अब हीरोज इन द सिल्वर स्क्रीन कॉम ना बनी होती तो मैरी कॉम कौन और जिनकी पिक्चर ना बनी फॉरगॉटन लॉन्ग गॉन सिंग तू ना रुकेगी कभी तू ना थमेगी कभी तू ना मुड़ेगी कभी कर शपथ अग्निपथ तू ना मुड़ेगी कभी तू ना रुकेगी कभी तू ना थमेगी कभी कर शपथ अग्निपथ So this one goes out to shout out to all the brave women in the country who fought against the system to bring about change. Be it journalists like Gauri Lankesh, or be it like Lakshmi Agarwal. For me and all the Indians out here, a great salute to all your contribution and efforts. Thank you so much. And I enjoyed my time being here. And it's also an emotional movement for me because a lot of my career started in the college that me and Advija, we used to study together. And Advija has been a great influence. I mean, like when I went to college and she used to give me all the books, be it Das Kapital, be it Communist Manifesto, she used to tutor me like I was her little child. And if she wouldn't be there, I wouldn't be nothing. I mean, like right now, I'm presumably a star, but then again, for her, I'm like nothing. And I'm pretty sure that I can learn a lot of things from her. And I thoroughly enjoyed being. Thank you so much.
Okay, I was about to say something and now I forgot. I got really emotional thinking about everything, but thank you, Shrini. Like,
Yep, absolutely.
This is what we call him. And for us, he will always be Shrini. But just to say that we are so proud of you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, thank you, comrade. Like, Lal Salam from all of us here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And you're brilliant. Chalo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. I guess this brings us to the end
Oh my God, of 3 hours.
Jashn-e-Sangharsh. Wow. So before we wrap up, big thank you to all our artists who took time out to come to perform, to show solidarity, to all our allies who spread the word, who helped us get this together, who made posters, who promoted this event for us, who sent out donation links, who
donated themselves,
who helped us make connections with collectives and organizations across borders so that we could make this possible. To all of you there, our Lal Salam, and thank you for being a part of this journey. To everybody in Sasaf, again, you only see both of us from here, but it was an amazing team of people who put this together, worked really hard. So thank you to each and every one of them. Paro, who's sitting right here and
controlling everything from the back.
From the back, we have Monica, Niharika, Arshita. Am I missing anyone? And
Anna, Ria, there's so many of them.
Yeah, all of them. So thank you very much for all the work. Again, shout out to Smish Designs for allowing us to use your design, incredible design for our poster.
And finally, to remind you again about the Keto Fundraiser. The Keto Fundraiser will be going on for the next 30 days at least. So there is still time to donate. So if you're watching this, please ensure that you share it with as many people as possible so that they can give the little that they might be able to give or as much as they can give. So nobody's saying no to a lot of money. These funds are going to great causes that will benefit wage workers, trans and sex workers, fishing communities in India. So far, we've collected about 1,200 pounds, and that's a lot of money. And we hope to collect a lot more to reach our goal. So all these additional contributions will support these incredible organizations who are working on the ground to provide relief, food and supplies to wage workers, trans and sex workers, and fishing communities who have been impacted by the lockdown and Cyclone Amphan. And this is us, Adrija and Joe, joining in solidarity on the behalf of SASAF, who we've tried our best. It's the least we can do. So thank you all for joining us, and we hope to have another Jashn-e-Sangharsh soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone who tuned in. And I started with this, and I will end with this, that the only way that we can fight the rise of fascist authoritarian governments across the world is by coming together and by dreaming of a new society together and by building it together. The road is long and hard, but you're not alone in this fight. And the only way that we will ever succeed is by coming together
and drawing these solidarities.
So a lot of love and solidarity from all of us here. And thank you so much again for joining in. Hope you enjoyed your afternoon, and see you very soon. Bye. Don't forget to donate. Bye.